This is so fucking insane, bro. What are we doing? What are the creators doing? But yeah, in the United States of America, if you are a political campaigner, if you are a political operative, you do not have to disclose that you're getting paid to say certain things, which blows my mind. Unimaginably unprincipled. But of course, the first story that I'm going to start off with before we get into the special report on the mass shooting that took place in Minneapolis today is actually one that was written by a friend of the show and friend of mine, Taylor Lorenz. Okay? You might like her takes. You might hate her takes. You might think she gets a little crazy on the social media platforms from time to time. But as I have said consistently, Taylor is one of the best journalists out there, one of the best culture reporters, if not the literal best culture reporter out there. Straight up, sometimes you got to be a little crazy to be that good of a journalist, okay? Just remember that. You got to be tenacious and you got to be a little wild, okay? And she is. Her work stands on its own. It's just like, and turns out she had a piece for Wired Magazine, a deep dive into a dark money group that is secretly funding high-profile Democratic influencers. And I obviously have a lot of additional information to offer as someone who is a progressive content creator, a socialist influencer, if you want to call it that, who has been approached in the past as well. So I can give you guys a little bit more details on this kind of thing too, on top of what she wrote. And there's obviously a bunch of stuff that she was not able to add in to this piece because, you know, it would have been far too expansive. But here it is. A dark money group is secretly funding high-profile Democratic influencers. I'm going to go on remove paywall here so I can read this article. A recipient of that money? No, of course not. An initiative aimed at boosting Democrats' online offers influencers up to $8,000 a month to push the party line. All they have to do is keep it a secret and agree to restrictions on their content. In a private group chat in June, dozens of Democratic political influencers discussed whether to take advantage of an enticing opportunity. They were being offered $8,000 per month to take part in a secretive program aimed at bolstering Democratic messaging on the internet. Wait, what? $8,000 a month honestly seems like a small payout if they actually supposed to be high-profile influencers. The economy really is falling apart. Are you kidding me? $8,000 a month is an incredible amount of money for whatever their deliverables are. What the do you have $8,000 a month that you have to spare? Like we're talking about like up and comers. You know what I mean? We're talking about people that just like get, you know, like $8,000 a month is life-changing money for a lot of people, for virtually everyone. You're talking about almost $100,000 a year. That's, you know, that's an incredible amount of additional revenue that you're going to be able to generate. $8,000 a month would change every single person in this chat's life. No matter how high profile the people are, unless there's someone like myself and there's not a lot of other people at my level, $8,000 a month is unironically going to be a life-changing amount of money for most people. And this is not like me flexing. You have to understand, like, this is like someone like David Pakman would, I'm using him because he's like a big content creator, right? Like he would be a high profile influencer. I'm not making any inferences here. I don't know if he was a part of this or not. I'm just using him as an example because of like his size, or Kyle Kulinski, for example, right? Kyle Kulinski is an even better example because he most likely didn't participate in this program, obviously. So I'll just use him instead. Like for someone like Kyle Kulinski, $8,000 in additional revenue a month would be massive. He is one of the most high-profile political influencers out there. Even Majority Report, they would be, he's in the article. Yes, he took the money, not Kyle. Oh, he is in the article and he did take the money. Oh, he was a part of the program. Okay, well, all right. Well, then I don't feel that bad first saying David Pakman. All right. Anyway. But the contract sent them to Chorus, the nonprofit arm of the liberal influencer marketing platform, came with some strings. Among other issues, it mandated extensive secrecy about disclosing their payments and have restrictions on what sort of political content the creators could produce. In their group chat, influencers debated the details. Should we send a joint email with all our email addresses, or are we just going to send things separately and hope they change everything for everyone? Lorenzo, a non-binary creator in Columbus, Ohio, with over 884,000 TikTok followers, asked the group. Some joked about collective bargaining. Any Newsies fans in here? Eliza Orland's a public defender and reality TV star known for appearance on Survivor posts in the group. We're a union just by saying so. The influencers in the chat collectively had at least 13 million followers across social media platforms. They represented some of the most well-known voices in online posting in support of Democrats, and they are the key. They're key to wherever the party moves next. But ultimately, the group didn't make much progress. Reading through the revised chorus contract, like you win some, you lose some. A reproductive justice influencer named Perry, who posts under the handle Women in America, responded later in the thread. I also think there's at least 4 other things that should change. But the vibe I got from their email was that there would be minimal, if any, changes. Lorenzo Orleans and Perry did not reply to requests for comment. I don't feel strongly about pushing, to be honest. Aaron Parnas, a Gen Z. Oh my God, Lev Parnas' son, Aaron Parnas, was a part of this. A Gen Z news influencer who has been called the Gen Z Walter Cronkite and has been lauded in legacy media outlets, posted in the chat. They aren't going to modify it anymore. Seems like a take it or leave it. Parnas declined to comment. I believe we're in stage 5, acceptance, Perry responded. Creators began signing on to the deal. For years, Democrats have struggled to work with influencers. In 2024, President Joe Biden's White House snubbed several prominent content creators after they lightly criticized the administration over its policies on climate change, COVID, Gaza, and the TikTok ban. Content creators who challenged Kamala Harris, including Hasan Piker, a well-known influencer on the left, were similarly unwelcome at campaign events. After the Democrats lost in November, they faced a reckoning. It was clear the party had failed to successfully navigate the new media landscape. While Republicans spent decades building a powerful and robust independent media infrastructure, maximizing controversy to drive attention and maintaining tight relationships with creators despite their small disagreements with Trump, the Democrats have largely relied on outdated strategies and traditional media to get their message out. Now, Democrats hope that the secretive Chorus Creator Incubator Program, funded by powerful liberal dark money group called the 1630 Fund, might tip the scales. The program kicked off last month, and creators involved were told by Chorus that over 90 influencers were set to take part. Creators told Wired that the contract stipulated they'd be kicked out and essentially cut off financially if they even so much as acknowledged that they were a part of the program. Some creators also raised concerns about a slew of restrictive clauses in the contract. This is so insane, bro. What are we doing? What are the creators doing? What are the liberals doing? What's wrong with you? Why the dude, first of all, this is the type of shit we yell at Tim Pool over because they're getting it from Russia, okay? This is the type of shit we yell at Ben Shapiro over because they're getting money from the same exact funding groups that fund the Republican Party, like the Wilkes brothers and shit. How the are these guys just like running around being like, the Democrats are awesome, liberals are great, Gavin Newsom is hot, I want him to blow my back walls out, I think he's the next president, and then you turn around and you're getting a fat bag from the Democratic Party through shadow donations that you're not even disclosing. What the unimaginably unprincipled shit, man. It's also a demonstrable failure. This is what's so annoying about it. That's why I'm out here giving free ball. Okay? What do I always say? Free ball is free. Okay? You want to know what to do? You want to reach out to the youth, young men? I'm giving it out for free. There's also working examples of it. Zohran Mamdani is a working example of it, okay? But these guys don't want that. They don't want to change their policies. What they want is to be able to manipulate people into loyalty to the Democratic Party without any sort of real changes in the way that they are alleviating people's economic hardships. But it now turns out that when people come in here and yell at me with DNC talking points and I say, show me the pay stubs, it turns out some of those do have pay stubs, except their fans don't, and their fans are deluded into thinking that these guys are actually telling them the truth. But it turns out they're actually making you annoyed at the left at the behest of the Democratic Party because that's what they're predisposed with. Holy The Dems have a terrible time reaching young men because they push rhetoric and that just doesn't resonate with most young men. It's almost a catch-22 between either being realistic about women's rights or appealing to young men to get the vote. No, you can do both. You can do both. You can do both. You can be like, don't be a weirdo loser to women. What the is wrong with you? And also advocate for shit that is going to alleviate some of the economic hardships that young men are experiencing, okay? I do it every day. How the am I able to do it? Why are facts the enemy of the truth, Hassan? What? Not that you'd ever accept this, but it just goes to show how principled and consistent you are. This is a roundabout big W for you and vindication for the DNC shit. I'm going to be honest with you. This group never even entertained reaching out to me. I think they were smart enough not to come to me, or if they did, I didn't hear about it. I'd have to ask my manager, but I don't think this was a thing. Anyway, influence including the communication about the program and in some cases onboarding session for those receiving payments from the 1630 fund, including, oh my God, Olivia Giuliana, the centrist Gen Z influencer who spoke at the 2024 Democratic National Convention. Lauren Piretra, a former Playboy executive turned political influencer who hosts a podcast for Occupy Democrats. Barrett Adair, a content creator who runs American Girl doll themed pro DNC meme account. Suzanne Lambert, who has once called herself a Regina George liberal. Ariel Fodor, an education creator with 1.4 million followers on TikTok. Sandra Jennings, a former TLC reality star and older brother of trans influencer Jazz Jennings. David Pakman, who hosts an independent progressive show on YouTube covering news and politics. David, you've been in this game for so long. What the are you doing? That's crazy. Lee McGowan, who goes by the online moniker Politics Girls, and dozens of others. The first two declined to comment. The rest did not respond to requests for comment. According to the copies of the contract viewed by Wired that creators signed, the influencers are not allowed to disclose their relationships with Course or the 1630 fund, or functionally they're being paid at all. I don't even know how this is allowed. How is this not a violation of numerous points of regulation? If I feel like this is a violation of I mean, this is a FTC violation, and not only that, but it's I mean, this is like, you have to disclose when you have an ad, and you have to disclose if it's a political ad, especially. Actually, that's not true. I don't think you have to disclose if it's a political ad, but it's already I guess technically not. Yeah, you don't have to. You don't have to actually put hashtag ad if it's a political ad, because that's already clocked. Like, it's that those payments are all public. You just have to sort through the data. So I guess it wouldn't be an FTC violation at all. It's not an ad, it's a membership, it's a loophole. No. Even if it was an ad, I don't think they would have to disclose it, because political payments, like payments that a campaign makes is all, or even PACs make, are all oftentimes like hidden under numerous different subsidiaries and whatnot. But payments being made from a political group like a PAC or whatever, you don't have to. I don't think you legally have to disclose that it's an ad that you have. But and the only reason why you don't have to legally disclose that you're doing a hashtag ad, if I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong, okay? But the reason why is because it's already public for those who are, crazy enough to go and seek it out. Like, one of the examples I'll give you is Progressive Victory, right? They approached me a million times, but because they were like aligned and affiliated with Destiny, and because they were like being run by Brianna Wu, I was like, I'm not touching that shit. And there's some nice people that work there, some people who are truly ambitious, but what it turned into was a slush fund for Destiny's best friends. Okay, like, I was not touching that. Now, this is a different thing. This is not that. Okay, and I didn't touch it with a 10-foot pole, because I was like, I can't be aligned with something like this because of the people that I am, the people that are running this, and also the people that they think are good voices to uplift, the people that they're willing to pay to do political advertising. For me, I was like, that's not something that I'm interested in. All of Destiny's former orbits suckled on Progressive Victory, yeah, and it turned into a slush fund for Destiny's besties, like, straight up. All of the people who are pro-Israel and all the people who are pro-Destiny unironically got paid. Yeah, you were right. Key, search, disclose. Yeah, she says she takes their voice and puts them in their own voice, saying she always discloses when she's being paid. When it comes to hawking commercial products or sharing financial advice, federal rules require influencers to disclose when they're being paid. But in a rulemaking last December, the Federal Election Commission voted against similar requirements for influencers spreading political messaging, which is insane, by the way. Why the would you not have to disclose that? Are we kidding? But yeah, in the United States of America, if you are a political campaigner, if you are a political operative, you do not have to disclose that you're getting paid to say certain things, which blows my mind. Blows my goddamn mind. How is that possible? Doesn't this just prove what? Yeah. I'm a professional fundraiser. Someone who is collecting checks from a campaign will show up on that campaign's FEC report. Yeah, exactly. That's precisely the reason why I said, like, because it's public on the back end, technically they can get away with saying, oh, you don't have to disclose it, which is bullshit. Okay? If it's a super PAC, it could be disclosed, or it could say it's paying some other PAC that's paying some other PAC, etc. The real dark money, though, is the 501c3s and the 501c4s, since they do not have to report. Exactly. It's so up. And it's so goddamn annoying. Anyway, does the liberal influencer believe to have been approached by Chorus about 1630 fund financing opportunity this spring? They were told that Chorus appreciated the work that they were doing online and were asked if they'd be interested in being part of the first cohort of a new program that Chorus was running to help expand their reach and impact, creators told Wired. But following the initial outreach, many creators expressed concern about some stipulations. According to the copies of the contract viewed by Wired, creators in the program must funnel all bookings with lawmakers and political leaders through Chorus. Creators also have to loop Chorus in on any independently organized engagements with government officials and political leaders. If I want to work with another politician, I have to fully collaborate with them, said one creator who was offered the contract but ultimately declined to take it and asked not to be named. If I get Zoran and he wants to do an interview with me, I don't want to give that to them. Creators in the program are not allowed to use any funds or resources that they receive as a part of the program to make content that supports or opposes any political candidate or campaign without express authorization from Chorus in advance in writing per the contract. The contracts reviewed by Wired prohibit standards of partnership disclosures, declaring that creators will not publicize their relationship with Chorus or tell others that they're members of the program without Chorus's prior express consent. They also forbid creators from disclosing the identity of any funder and give Chorus the ability to force creators to remove or correct content based solely on the organization's discretion if that content was made at a Chorus organized event. God damn, this shit is so ass, bro. It is so ass. It's so, I mean, Republicans are going to make mincemeat out of this. Actually, I don't know. They're probably too busy talking about how woke Cracker Barrel was and doing victory laps over how not woke it is now or some shit to actually pay attention to this stuff. But like, they used to make a mountain out of a molehill with like any kind of DNC pay stubs that like Harry Sisson got. So this is the big Monty. This just basically shows exactly where we're at. Slop tubers also impacted. Yeah, this is a different version of that.
Something that I have always found very interesting is the way that like slop tubers
this is about progressive victory or progressive voice or something. I don't know. Progressive victory.
Zionists so quickly and willingly, even though Zionist like propaganda really isn't that profitable to do anymore.
That's why I'm playing this real quick.
Because the appetite for it among the general public has massively decreased and it's only getting worse for them. So there's very little organic financial incentive, as in like people coming to watch your videos willingly and donating to you, like out of the, just random people donating to you rather than big donors, like, because they like your content. So it doesn't really make sense. Most of the Zionist slop tubers have stagnated or like seen their audiences drop as they have supported Israel throughout the genocide, so it doesn't really make much sense. So the question is, where's the incentive, right? Obviously, these people don't believe the shit that they spew in most cases. They're just doing it because they feel a need, like a primal need to defend Israel. So the question that I asked is there more to it? And the answer is yes, there is more to it. Because at the very least, we have a reasonable level of evidence now that some of the Zionist slop tubers who we've covered on this channel have been paid by Zionist organizations for quote-unquote advertising services. And the only reason that we know this is because of FEC filings where these sorts of payments have to be disclosed. It's likely that behind the scenes they're receiving even more money. So all of this is publicly available information from the FEC website. You might know about Progressive Victory. This is like a political action committee founded by like Destiny and Brianna Wu, basically to like steal money from people under the guise of them donating it to like the Biden election campaign. And in the 2-year period from 2023 to 2024, they distributed a handsome $1.2 million to themselves and people associated with them, basically for two things: to do Zionist propaganda and to kiss the ring regarding like Destiny. And
I don't think it's like, I mean, this is like Bad Empanada's like drama side muddying the waters a little bit, because like it's not just about that. That is a function of it for sure, but it's not just that, right? Like they probably did Because I remember they were doing like activations with like politicians and shit, right? Like real politicians, not just like specifically using it to to do Zionist propaganda. Just shut up and listen to the vid, man. Okay, there is this attitude that a lot of people have that is very frustrating. I know more about this back end than he does, okay? So shut the up. The attitude that a lot of people have in this community about Bad Empanada being like a prophetic figure when it comes to like political discourse is actually starting to annoy me. And I'm sure it annoys him as well when people behave in this like incredibly parasocial way. Please, I'm adding additional information to what he is saying, okay? As someone who is more knowledgeable about I know they sent money to the orbiters, you moron. I know that already. I'm going to get to it. I'm saying that's only one component of it, okay? This is an organization that I'm familiar with, that I refuse to work with for that reason. Shut your stupid mouth up, okay? I know more than Bad Empanada on this, and I know more than you on this too. Please, shut your stupid mouth for one goddamn second before immediately going, oh, the Bad Empanada knows more than you. Like, shut up. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. I can't even talk about like a organization that is tangentially related to the Taylor Lorenz article that we were talking about. It's just another PAC that's like operating as a PAC within the structure of the Democratic Party that like does like some canvassing events, some other events, like conducting interviews with like politicians and shit, while also simultaneously they were, you know, it was mostly being used as a slush fund for Destiny's best friends. Okay?
Not criticizing him and not going after him for his sex crimes and stuff like that. So you go to the publicly available.
Yeah, this is one instance where Bad Empanada, you were completely aligned and chatters are still drama farming. It's mind-boggling to me. Like, he's not even wrong. There's just some stuff that he's getting. There's just some stuff that he's not aware of. Okay.
See website. You look up Progressive Victory PAC. You go to disbursements, and you click on other disbursements. $1.3 million spent. So you increase the amount of results per page and search the page for advertising services. And some of the biggest payments on here, because most of these payments are like $500 paid to canvases and stuff. Some of the biggest payments on here went to like people in Destiny's orbit for God knows what. These are like relatively small streamers who clearly have no real pull, and paying them for advertising services is insane given that they have no pull. What's
it's like Hunter Avalon. There's like a lot of orbiters. There's a dude who is literally Destiny's chef. Like, he used to sometimes appear on his videos, named Lycan, who is just his chef apparently, and he gets paid there as well. And it's just like, there is no, what is this? Wait, they paid out creators directly through the PAC. Are they stupid? I think so. That's it. Yeah. Dylan Burns, Hunter Avalon, Hutch, Destiny's own personal chef. Like, this is what happened. This is what took place. Okay. And the PAC actually did unironically raise a bunch of money off of like people who thought that they were giving money to a political action committee that was going to go around and you know, do door knocking canvas operations, which they did, but then also turned around and basically created this like pay structure for a bunch of Destiny's friends.
Dollars? That's more than his entire YouTube channel makes in like 2 months, I guarantee you. So you search for advertising. Aside from Hunter Avalon, someone who it makes no sense to be paid $3,000 for advertising because he has no pull whatsoever. We have like Nassif Yunus, aka Lonerbox, who is, I remind you, British, being paid for digital advertising services by an American super PAC. He kissed Destiny's ring. He did Zionist propaganda. He got paid for it to the tune of $2,000. We have Sean Hutchinson. Hutch. That's the COD YouTuber.
Yeah, like, these guys get like, they have no viewership. Like, there's no real justification for like tapping into these dudes and giving them like $3,000 or $1,000 or even $500 to just like go to an event and sit there and talk about how great the Democratic Party is. It's just like a waste of funds unless it is actually created to just like pay out your friends. You go around and you do fundraisers from all these people that are like, oh yeah, I want the Democrats to win. I'm going to fundraise for it. Right. And then and then all that happens in the process is that you just end up paying a bunch of dudes that are friends with like Brianna Wu and Destiny. In the business, we call these scam packs. Usually their main method is buying a text or email list and just massing contribution asks to grassroots donors with some generic line like stop Donald Trump, etc. People definitely fall for it, and it also severely harms the wider fundraising ecosystem. It actually really frustrates professionals who do this for genuine good reasons. I don't know if Progressive Voice or Progressive, what the fuck was it? Progressive Victory. Sorry, not Progressive Voice. Progressive Victory was set up with honest intention from the start, or and then it just like kind of turned into this like idiotic thing. Okay, it turned into this like slush fund for the besties, right? Of a sex pest, or if it always was supposed to be this way, and then it got led astray. I don't know. But I do know that they actively tried to work with me as well on numerous occasions. And I didn't work with them for this reason, because I was like, there's no way. Like, I've seen some of the people that you guys have worked with. I'm not interested because that's insane. It shows me at the very least that you guys are not making the right decisions. You know what I mean? Like, you're just not making, there's people within the leadership structure that like are very clearly making idiotic choices. Like, even if I'm aligned ostensibly with the goals that you're trying to push for here, it just doesn't make any sense.
YouTuber Sean Hutchinson, Hutchie, just like my friend Nassif Yunus here, who moved into doing pro-genocide propaganda for Israel, received a generous $2,000 payment from this PAC, despite the fact that he gets...
Wait, first of all, this is not the article that Taylor Lorenz wrote about. This is not the same group. This is a different PAC. This is just a different PAC that I know more about because I noticed what was going on, what they were doing, and I thought, this is suspicious.
It's like 20 viewers, and no one watches him or cares about what he says at all. Like, this is someone who actively, intentionally spreads narratives that cannot be justified in fact.
I covered Progressive Victory last year and didn't get much coverage. Brianna Wu set this up with Destiny with the express purpose of getting him a higher profile within the DNC and push progressive voices out, yourself included. Am I thinking of a different PAC then? Because PV did reach out to me quite a bit. I thought they did. I think they wanted to work with me to like legitimize themselves to the best of their ability within the Democratic Party infrastructure to make themselves look like they got more motion than they actually do. Unless I'm thinking of a different PAC. I think it was PV though. I think it was Progressive Voice.
The pro-genocide Zionist narrative, and that are actively detrimental to building a platform for yourself. So you have to wonder, where's the incentive coming from? Why does he do it? Like, he doesn't make anywhere near enough money to do this shit full time, but he does it. He gets like 20 views.
The other one is National Ground Game PAC. The other PAC that's doing the Unfuck America tour, which also is like, again, decided to go with Destiny for some weird reason. I don't know why. That has a litany of different complications, but the National Ground Game PAC is the one that's funding the Unfuck America tour. No, it's the same. They reached out to me too. They got a few real leftists, but I think it was always Destiny aligned. Yeah. I thought you knew more. No, I'm confusing different PACs. I get reached out by like a bunch of different PACs. Dummy, calm down. Isn't the PAC owned by your uncle and was paying Wu to run it? No, that's I think that's a different one. That's a Justice Democrats, I think. But in any case, yeah. Also, this structure is designed to shelter, to hide the nefarious activities. Chatters or Rebellion PAC. Sorry, there's another one. That's the Rebellion PAC. Justice Democrats is the early one. Wolf PAC is another one that's like specifically designed to combat lobbying. Wolf PAC is different. Those are not like those are not in the same vein here. Okay, Rebellion PAC is the one that Brianna Wu was on. In any case, the Progressive Victory Fund was, I believe, created by Brianna Wu and Destiny and a couple other people, and they wanted to basically design it in a way where they could get like, Destiny and his orbiters and his supporters a more prominent place within the structure, within the ecosystem of the DNC, within the ecosystem of the Democratic Party. And Democrats, due to their incompetence, I think, not because they did their due diligence, mind you, but due to their straightforward incompetence and lack of interest in like independent media farming, just didn't do that. Clearly it didn't work, right? Which in this circumstance, I guess, kind of helped them. Because this would have probably blown up in their faces even harder. Yeah, PV had a shadow investor along with Beyond. Ooh, the origins of the funding aren't clear, but there's a reason these losers are able to go around the country while having the combined audience of one of your gaming streams. No offense, gaming frogs rise up. Your FEC report just says you gave a couple grand to Bernie in 2020, lol. Yes. I believe it also has $1 that was given to Kirsten Cinema. I don't even know, or not Kirsten Cinema, Kirsten Gillibrand. I don't know why. It must have been a meme on the stream. I don't remember.
Where's the money coming from? Here's the answer. He's paid to do it. This is someone who has justified the genocide on the basis that Palestinian birth rates are too high. He's justified the bombing of hospitals and the children within them. Why does he do it? This is the answer. And just to be clear here, I'm not saying this is the only payment they're getting. They're certainly getting more than this. It's just to the extent that the payment could be laundered through official means, this is like the way that you can find it. Certainly they're getting paid in other ways besides this. You know, there's no requirement for those payments to be made public. These ones we only know about because they have to be made public legally. Who else have we got here? Aside from, Lonerbox, Hutchinson, Hunter Avalone, Alexander Haley. Who's that? Is that anyone we know? Oh my God, is that Xander Hall? Is that Xander Hall? I think that's Xander Hall.
Fake. That's not a real person. Don't lie. That's like a meme. That's a meme name that we came up with, like xylitol. Stop it. Stop. You're with me. Nah. That's like, xylitol. Talk shit about you, bro. You ain't even know about xylitol. He just gave you a blistering critique, like that type of shit. Like that sounds like a medication. That's a medication, dog. Do not make this shit up. Why is Bad Empanada up to the same tricks that I've been up to? He's just making up names.
Oh my God, it's Xander Hall. It's that they paid Xander Hall $2,000.
That sounds like Xander Hall is no, I don't believe. I refuse to believe it. I refuse to believe that is a real thing. Xander Hall is a drug Trump will call the fat drug. Ain't no way. Xylitol is an artificial sweetener that has laxative effects. I know what it is. I just like say that as a joke. D has now moved to unfuck America. I like that he is. His goal is to basically every pack that exists within the structure of the Democratic Party. PSA: leftists are not on our team. They're just as bad as MAGA. If you're a person that takes winning elections seriously and then stop engaging with their content, they think it's a game and it's not a game. Winning the midterms is serious and needs to stay our central focus. Why are you promoting a pedophile to teenagers? Our organization takes any allegation of this nature extremely seriously. At the same time, we believe it's important to uphold the principle that every individual is entitled to due process. At this stage, no evidence has been presented that substantiates these claims. Until and unless credible evidence is brought forward, we will not be making decisions based on solely unverified allegations. No, you don't understand. We need this. We need this. Like he's brilliant. You know what's really funny about this? Like if this person, Destiny, was like unironically like a brilliant fundraiser, a brilliant marketer, like truly a voice that was making an impact in this space, with the exception of like, I guess, making an impact for some of the most brain broken liberals who just think he is like the holy prophet. Okay. Then it's up, but at least it's like cold and calculated for like some kind of broader grand reason, right? But he don't even have that either. It's just all liability with no upside. And that's what always takes me back to like the whether I will respect a political action committee or not, whether they're making good decisions or not. Because when I see them just like doing this, I'm like, okay, it's clear that you're not fully aware of what works. If you're actively working with a person who is just all liability with zero upsides whatsoever, then you're not a serious group. You know what I mean? You're not. You're just, what is this? Xanderthal hates you because you called his friend a Nazi without verifying when you were reacting to his video. $1 to do Zionist propaganda? No way! It's
Xanderhall! No way! There's no way you're paying Xanderhall for advertising services. Holy! This makes it so obvious that this is just like a grift for Destiny to get people on his side, defending him from the sex crime allegations and like spreading Zionist propaganda, because like all of Destiny's favorites are on here. All the people who are mysteriously quiet about
Sean the Black, the funniest lore is that she only ran to Destiny after racism allegations of her own causing Dean Withers to drop out of the tour's top spot. Ay, bro. Brother. Yo, I got haters I didn't even know existed. I got haters that I'm just like making jokes about. Progressive Victory supported Zoran though. No, that's why I said like they're not singularly focused on the reason why they also try to work with me is because they want to gain legitimacy. You can't just only be a slush fund for a debate pervert with a questionable background. Then obviously everyone's gonna be like, what the fuck are you doing? You have to be a legitimate force in order to gain prominence within the Democratic Party's infrastructure, its machine. Guy Cohen was a pretty fly for a white guy actor. Does I'm really important now? He says he is unpaid for content. Are you seriously not upset about the communal stable that is Cracker Barrel veering woke? Like that isn't cultural abbreviation or something? Both of your top haters pay the people around them to be their friends. Yeah. And also loathe me, which is crazy. Like these kinds of relationships should be defined by like ideological commitments, a true commitment to fighting for what you actually believe is correct. It's so crazy that like there is this space now filled to the brim with people who are getting like $500 here and there or $1,000 here and there who are actively working not to like bring more people from the right to the liberal side even, which is something I do as well for the record, but instead just like actively spend almost all of their time yelling about the more marginal left flank of the Democratic Party. This is so psychotic. It's expected though. Yeah, notice all of them are the ones that are silent on Gaza. Gaza is a great way to filter these pieces of shit. I think that might have been one of the requirements, unironically. Okay, there are some real... I'm done with the Bad Empanada video. He's just like making jokes about the people that got paid, obviously, including Destiny's private chef. This is the part here.
Donations to pay my friend's pack. The guy used to be like... It's Destiny's personal chef. It's someone who... like, this is the guy who Destiny pays to cook him food. And he got paid $500 by Destiny. I take your donations to pay my friend's pack. The guy used to be like a StarCraft gamer, one of Destiny's friends, went by the name Lycan, and now he is Lycan Cooks, and his job is to cook for Destiny. And he got paid $500 by Destiny pack for supposed advertising when he has no platform of his own whatsoever that could ever possibly warrant being paid for advertising. Yeah, as I said, it's just the tip of the iceberg. I guarantee these people are getting paid more than this behind the scenes to kiss the ring, to spread Zionist propaganda, because there's no incentive structure for them to do this that is even remotely organic, you know. If you talk about like basic reality that actually appeals to even normal people, like, you know, the obvious fact that Israel commits genocide and stuff like that, you can organically gain followers from normal people. You can't really do that from Zionism anymore, at least not right now, given the obvious genocide thing. The appetite for that sort of content.
Yeah, that's why a lot of slop tubers are also like not actively farming the Hasan talks too much about genocide button like they were before. Because like there's obviously different forces that motivate these people, and one of them is like organic audience development, right? They're content creators first and foremost. They're mercenaries. They don't give a shit about politics. That's fine. But like, at least they have to have some semblance, some capacity to read the room. And when they read the room and they see that the room is yelling Free Palestine, Israel over and over again at them, they can't hit that as hard as they once did, because they did do that for the past 22 months. They did that pretty aggressively, right? And even then, they didn't want to do it by like taking an open stance. They did it by just like attacking people like myself, people like Frogan, others who were actually actively fundraising, actively criticizing Israel. They just like attacked all of the pro-Palestine content creators they could from other like drama-related, irrelevant points of slander in a way for them to basically position themselves not as like super pro-Israel, because you always need a little bit of plausible deniability, and you need to maintain this like quote unquote apolitical attitude that you have over this issue, but while simultaneously still doing it, right? Simultaneously still attacking and positioning yourself against those who are pro-Palestine. So they don't really do that anymore. So there's something else that needs to keep motivating them. And I guess like, being a part of Destiny's orbit for a crumb of additional eyeballs that you might get from his very loyal fandom and his very loyal community could be one of those motivators. Another one is just like direct payments that you can get from this like Destiny's Friends slush fund. And that's basically it. But it is true that there are a lot of people who do get genuinely captivated by whatever like weird hypnosis that he has over a bunch of content creators. Brianna Wu being one of them. Like, she unironically learned everything about Israel-Palestine after October 7. And initially she was like, oh, it does seem like, I care about the Palestinian people as a whole. And then like slowly but surely, through being a Destiny orbiter, she became a prominent critic of Palestine and Palestinians and a prominent supporter of Israel. She went in the reverse direction as the general public on this issue. Now let's get back to the other pack that's doing something similar as well, but a little bit more structured and not as hyper-focused on like, I don't know, making sure that one content creator is and all of his friends are churning out loyal slop shit. Okay. So yeah, as we covered Taylor Lorenz's article here, I said before I sidestep to the other one, Progressive Victory Fund, we're going back to Chorus now. Okay. They are a part of the contract clause is that they are not allowed to disclose who funds them. They are not allowed to disclose that they are funded at all. So let's continue. There are some real great advantages to housing this program in a nonprofit. Graham Wilson, a lawyer working with Chorus, said to creators on a Zoom call reviewed by Wired. It gives us the ability to raise money from donors. It also, with the structure, it avoids a lot of the public disclosure or public disclaimers, paid for by blah, 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 that you see on political ads. We don't need to deal with any of that. Your names aren't showing up on like reports filed with the FEC. Wilson did not reply to a request for comment. The Federal Election Commission also declined to comment. The goal of Chorus, according to a fundraising deck obtained by Wired, is to build new infrastructure to fund independent progressive voices online at scale. The creators who joined the incubator are expected to attend regular advocacy trainings and daily messaging check-ins. Those messaging check-ins are led by Cohen on rapid response days. The creators who have to attend at least 2 Chorus newsroom events per month, which are events Chorus plans, often with lawmakers. Elizabeth Dubois, an assistant professor at University Research Chair in Politics, Communication, Technology at University of Ottawa, who has researched the ways influencers are reshaping the U.S. political system, says that we are seeing influencers being pulled into these dark campaigns or shadow campaigns where the legal aspect is murky at best. Sometimes it is actually clear that influencers are being used to, for example, evade spending limits, she says. I think that we need to remember that for democracy to thrive, we do need transparency around who is paying for political messages. Don Hyder, the chief executive of Marculla Center for Applied Ethics at Santa Clara University, says that the outline restrictions violate ethical norms. If the contract for getting money from a particular interest group says you can't disclose it, then it's pretty simple. You can't take the money, he says. We're living in an era where a lot of powerful people have basically taken the rule book and thrown it out the window. Keith Edwards, a Democratic content creator who has skyrocketed to fame on YouTube since starting his channel last year, was not invited to be a part of the program, but believes that the way it's structured seemed predatory. He says that he would never agree to take part in a program that was run in secret or wouldn't allow him to disclose funding. What I don't understand is, why wouldn't you just donate to creators directly who have already built something and just need to put gasoline on the fire, says Edwards. Democrats at least understand that the internet exists now, so that's good. But they still think influencers are just there to do a terrible direct-to-camera interview that no one watches rather than just treating us like another form of media. The influencers offered the funding were given just days to sign the contract, which was essentially presented on a take it or leave it basis. At least one cohort was specifically told they could not have their lawyers redline it. In that group chat formed to discuss contract negotiations, some creators discussed a clause prohibiting the disparagement of other creators. Not being able to criticize anyone else affiliated with Chorus felt restrictive to some, according to text messages posted to the chat. Eventually, the creators in the group chats agreed to drop the issues they had. I don't think Chorus is out to screw us. Orleans, a creator who was offered $8,000 per month, said in the group chat. Some influencers for the Chorus Creator Incubator program were offered as little as $250 per month, according to one creator who declined to accept the deal, while others were offered memberships into the Amplifier cohort, which provides up to $8,000 per month. Bro, if you're taking a bag for $250, it's the worst. You're like I'm sorry. Okay? If you're literally selling out whatever like ambitions you had as a political commentator for $250 a month, you are not in the right business. I'm sorry. What the At least the people that were selling out for $8,000, that's like life-changing money. $250 a month, and you're going to be a mouthpiece for a shadow organization that has this much restriction on your life? What the See, this is the problem. A lot of people don't understand. The issue here is like, if this is your job, this is your goal, if this is your career ambition, if you want to become a political content creator, if you want to be a political commentator, you have to have a unique worldview. You have to have some things that you truly believe in. You can't be a hired gun. What the are we doing? It's so stupid. Like that's how little you care about integrity. What the The 1630 Fund has emerged as a powerful funder in Democratic spaces in recent years. Its website notes that issues supported by the organization include economic equity, affordable health care, climate solutions, racial justice, voter access, and other essential social change goals. The organization was founded in 2009 as a liberal response to the conservative dark money groups and organizations like the Koch network, and under Trump, it has soared. In 2018, the 1630 Fund provided $141 million to more than 100 left-leaning causes in order to bolster Democratic support during the midterms, according to a tax filing obtained by Politico. In 2020, the fund distributed more than $400 million, Jesus Christ, according to the organization's public tax filing, which Politico said was used in efforts to unseat then-President Donald Trump and the Republican Senate majority. In 2022, the 1630 Fund spent $196 million backing state ballot measures on abortion rights heading into the midterms, according to NBC. Just 4 donors accounted for close to 2/3 of the fund's revenue in 2023, according to its tax filing. The largest donor gave the group $50.5 million, with others donating $21 million, and $13.6 million. The 1630 Fund, which is not required to disclose its contributors, has for years been a major funding source for liberal and progressive causes and groups, including those that spend in elections, says Walker Davis, a research director for the open government group Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. Though their recent tax returns indicate that they've always pulled back from the eye-popping sums they raised and spent in 2020, the organization is still one of the top spending politically oriented groups, oriented nonprofits in the country. Chorus, which is described in contracts reviewed by Wired as a project of the 1630 Fund that handles operations for the Creator Program, launched in November 2024 as a nonprofit arm of Good Influence, a for-profit influencer marketing agency aimed at helping content creators connect with social good campaigns. Good Influence was founded in October 2020 by Stuart Perlmutter, the former comms director for the Representative John Yarmouth of Kentucky. Seeing an opportunity after Kamala Harris's loss last November, Perlmutter co-founded Chorus with the Democratic influencer Brian Tyler Cohen. Ain't no way. Brian Tyler Cohen, who was over 4.6 million subscribers on YouTube and leads messaging check-ins with the creator cohort on rapid response days. According to records reviewed by Wired, Chorus claims that its initial creator cohort has a collective audience of more than 40 million followers with more than 100 million weekly viewers, and that the organization has hundreds of creators signed up and ready to amplify messaging. I've spent most of my career researching right-wing media. Also, Brian Taylor Cohen is another friend of Destiny, isn't he? Again, I am noticing that like a lot of these guys who are invested in like whether it's for genuine ambition and good reasons because they truly believe that the Democratic Party is the savior of mankind, or whether it's like a cynical way to try to amplify your worth within the confines of the Democratic Party machine, or if it's just to make money, regardless of whatever the motivations are, it's very clear to me that these guys have one pattern, okay? They don't step outside of the line when it comes to whatever the Democrats are communicating, which is something that I've always wondered about. Because I'm always like, how the are you going to be an independent content creator, an independent political commentator, and never actually criticize the Democrats? Like, what is going on? Show me the pay stubs. This is what I used to say all the time. If you remember, if you recall, one of the things I used to always say whenever will come in here and be like, oh, I'm going to defend the DNC. You're wrong. It's the left that did this. I'm going to defend the DNC. I'd be like, show me the pay stubs. It turns out there are pay stubs. Not for you if you are a fan of any of these content creators. You've just been deluded, right? But these guys do have some pay stubs. So this makes a little bit more sense. I will also say, however, that the other thing that I've noticed here is that they are noticeably absent from the conversation on Gaza. This is a major issue. It's a major issue that was almost entirely propped up by social media and independent sources, whether it be on the ground Palestinians who are filming their own demise, filming their own genocide, bravely, if I may add, or whether it be those those videos that are being amplified by independent media content creators who see right from wrong, who have a conscience and decide that this is unconscionable and actively speak out against it. If you are an independent content creator, if you're in the media, you're not going to speak on it. We know this already, right? But if you're an independent content creator and you're silent on this, if you're an independent content creator and you're silent on one of the biggest issues of our time, then it's very obvious that there's like most likely a financial motivation here, a financial imperative here. Something interesting about the timing of when this video was released and the context that this article provides is interesting. What?
Before I was understanding where it's like, oh, yeah, I'm kind of edgy. I say like whatever. I don't even know if you know who Aiden Ross is, but the fact that like Donald Trump is like shouting this guy out, like this is a guy that like
Destiny and Brian Tyler Cohen call out Kamala Harris, take the gloves off finally. This is when November 18th, 2024. Brian Tyler Cohen and Destiny talk Trump's collab with Aiden Ross and Kamala Harris refusing to go on Joe Rogan's podcast. Anyway, I don't know if it like matches up timeline wise with like the Brian Cohen is not surprising. This makes me sad, man. I wish these guys wouldn't do this shit. Okay. That's what I wish. I wish they would stop doing this shit. Anyway, let's get back to it. I've spent most of my career researching right-wing media and sounding the alarms about the collapse of our old information environment. Ellie Langford, the director of programming at Chorus, said on a Zoom call with dozens of creators in June, our political systems haven't been able to figure out a real solution. And I've been really excited to see you all treading the path forward. I deeply, deeply believe that the work you are all doing is what's going to make the difference in supporting and, frankly, resuscitating our democracy. Already, creators in the program are creating content together. In a weekly series called Good News in Politics, 6 creators in the program shared a collaborative video running through political wins. Follow these creators, bringing you hope instead of doom scrolling. Sandra Jennings, E. Orleans, Jess Craven, Tono Latino, Gemma Talks, The Zactivist they posted. While some creators have been eager to work with Chorus, others distrust the organization. This spring, Chorus faced a wave of backlash from prominent content creators whose images were included in the firm's fundraising decks without permission. I was including some of the Chorus decks, like we have access to V. When you do not, said V. Spihar, a liberal content creator with over 3.5 million followers on TikTok. That's also kind of scummy. The faces of several well-known influencers were featured prominently on the Chorus website beneath a giant donate button. However, users who clicked the button were taken to a fundraising page for Chorus. Instead of anywhere, their dollars would go directly to the creators featured. Progressive YouTuber and former media staffer, Media Matters staffer Kat Abu-Ghazalek, who's running for Congress in Illinois, was pictured on Chorus's website and included in fundraising decks without her consent. She asked that her image and name be removed and no longer used for fundraising purposes. Spihar and other content creators have accused Chorus of attempting to establish themselves as a gatekeeper to Democratic political leaders. What we need is for people to invest in independent media, and that it doesn't necessarily mean investing in a consulting group that is going to become a middleman for independent media, says Spihar. They took what you said unironically, say about wanting to be a proud mouthpiece of the regime and applied it to whatever dog shit the DNC is churning out while lining their pockets handsomely. Yeah, My mother-in-law is a big-time Gen X liberal, and we'd regularly get into debates about Genocide Joe that always ended up with her begging me to vote for blue no matter who. She obsesses with Aaron Parnas and Brian Tyler Cohen, and now I got to debate her on this. Christ, I'm exhausted. What do you mean? This is not a debate. You can just like accurately tell her that like there is a reason why the information that you're getting might not necessarily be the full scope of reality, and there's obviously a financial imperative associated with that. This is like the easiest thing to communicate to people. Okay, this is the easiest dub of your life. Not to like dunk on your mom or anything like that, but I mean, the reality of the matter is when you have instruments of the party making these ridiculously stringent rules that straight up tell you what you can and can't say, and they pay you for it, then all of a sudden you're not a political commentator. You're not an independent voice at all. You're simply a mouthpiece for whichever slush fund that exists. In this circumstance, is just like a chorus. I don't even think that they had a lot of credibility to begin with, but now they definitely don't have a credibility at all. This basically proves why so many of these liberals online, that's why I always tell you, like, don't listen to the liberal voices on TikTok or on YouTube or whatever. They do not reflect the broader sentiment of the population. The broader base of the Democratic Party, for example, is literally 92% on the Israel side, okay? 77% of Democrats acknowledge that Israel is doing a genocide. 77%. None of these guys actually talk about that. None of these guys actually openly state it. How the could you be an accurate reflection of the Democratic Party's base if you are speaking zero moments about the one singular issue that Democrats have a supermajority opinion on? Democrat voters, I mean. That's it. Only 8% of Democrat voters want to continue supporting Israel. Only 8%. This is not a real issue at this point. 92% say no more. If you got a content creator who is, no, but have you considered that you're purity testing? This conveniently absolves me of giving any justification to unjustifiable shit. Yeah, like, I'm not a purity tester at all. As a matter of fact, a lot of people yell at me for that reason. A lot of people in my community yell at me all the time. They say, Hasan, how dare you align with like this person or that person? They're not pure in their politics. And I understand that because I understand that normal people in the real world have a totally different framework than we do in this community. This community is an echo chamber. This community is far more radical than the average person. Our goal is to get those other people, the normies, to also see the world with a better analytical framework, dialectical materialism, okay? That's the goal here. So obviously, in an effort to expand the echo chamber, in an effort to reach out to a broader audience, there are going to be people that I collaborate with, that I work with, I talk to, that I'm not going to be fully aligned with. Having said that, however, I don't think this is a purity test, okay? This is not like a purity spiral. This is just like straightforward paid propaganda. This is paid shilling. A paid shilling that unironically creates that same closed circuit that forces Democrats to not actually look at what the real issues are and actively choose to solve them. And instead, it's the Democratic Party trying to employ people to actively propagandize to an audience that thinks they're getting real information, like real unvarnished truth from independent content creators online. And the only thing that they're doing is basically the same regurgitated CNN talking points that political consultants deliver in mainstream news. And that's what's really up about it. Okay? They think that it is actually not the Democrats, the party itself, that is the problem. It's the voters that are not invested enough in harm reduction narratives and whatever the motivates people to go out and vote for the Democrats. This is devastating because it's also consistently led to the Democratic Party's demise over and over again and led to two major defeats against a incompetent charlatan fascist like Donald Trump. It's terrible. It's completely unacceptable. And this is straight up a part of the problem. This is a major part of the problem because this is emblematic of the issue that is at the core of the Democrat Party. okay? An inability or a lack of interest in actually listening to the demands being made by voters, which is undemocratic inherently. This is anti-democracy. This is anti-democratic process. The fact that they are, instead of like taking a cold hard look at all of their failures in the aftermath of this massive defeat against Donald Trump again, instead of looking at that and maybe changing the way that they operate, the fact that they are still saying, no, we just got to like dunk on the vote, we got to influence the voters better, is insane.
Show me the pay stub. If you are currently working at the behest of the DNC, show me the pay stub. I mean, I'll still shit on you because you're an immoral piece of shit, but show me the pay stub. Are you a DNC employee? Because if you're defending the Democratic Party's malfeasance, its negligence, its malpractice, at this stage, you're a psycho. You're the biggest cuck I've ever seen in my entire life. I want the Democratic Party to be more like Republicans, okay? Not in the way that they, not in ideologically, obviously, but in the way that the Republican Party actually gets shit done. Why can't the Democrats get shit done? Why? Oh, our infallible institutions, like, oh, we must defend them. Like, that's so stupid. That's so stupid. Shut the fuck up. I don't think promoting voter apathy is helping either. Dude, I am a political commentator with very limited influence, okay? Very limited influence on the internet. If you think that I can create voter apathy, but the Democratic Party's malpractice in the face of so much injustice, when they have both the Senate and the Congress and the White House, you are fundamentally broken. You are the reason why the Democratic Party keeps losing voters, okay? You're an idiot. I'm sorry.
Look at that. When is that from? Is that from this past week? No, this is long hair Hassan, so clearly it's not from this past week. Oh, that's right. This is from May 5th, 2022. Wow, some things never change. My hairstyle might change. My audio processor might change, and then my voice comes across as deeper now because I got that pirate software on lock, the voice deepener. Okay. It's not like my balls dropped. It's just that my software changed. Don't paint my nails no more. Don't have that kooky ass haircut no more. Looking like a goddamn hippie. Having said that, the message remains consistent. This is why I always laugh when like, Hassan, you've changed. It's like, no, man. You just watched a video or two from the dumbest on the planet that were able to convince you that I have changed. I have said the same exact shit for the past decade. Okay? Either you were not paying attention or your attitude changed. And it turns out maybe your attitude changed because you went and got duped by a that was getting paid from one of these goddamn PACs to basically tell you how the world is actually, when in fact, they were just getting paid to do so. Anyway, you have changed. We don't get Hell's Kitchen / Kitchen Nightmare content. You don't even run ads at the top of the hour. What happened? That's because the Piker Broadcasting Service is funded by you, the viewers, for you, the viewers. That's it. The only way to support the show is by subscribing, which you can do for $6 or for free with a Twitch Prime. If you want to do so, you can give subs as well. That's it. That hasn't changed either. I used to do top of the hour ads because I had a contract by Amazon. I no longer have one, so I don't run ads. It's that simple, baby. This is literally how they made TikTok think MP is racist. Who's MP? Xylax! With a 200 bones, goddamn! Your consistency is dead on when you say you haven't changed. But whenever you make this point that you never change ever, doesn't that leave room for recognizing how much you've learned on top of the good takes you've been consistent on? Sure. I mean, I'm saying that my first principles, the fundamentals that motivate me, have not changed. But how do we pay some greedy middleman if we can only pay you and not a PAC? Yep. That's why it's so funny when these guys who literally run these like slush funds and shit, who run these slush funds, who are actively trying to like work within the confines of the Democratic Party, will then turn around and be like, he's bad, he's a grifter. It turns out half the reason why they're saying that is because they have something inside of them. They have an insecurity that they are grifting, and they kind of recognize this, so they have to disparage people who are not doing that. They have to disparage people who they are ideologically in opposition to, because they're like, oh, he can't be just advocating for these things for no reason other than the fact that he believes in it, because I'm not advocating for the things I believe in because I'm getting paid to say these things. That's it. Another day of Hasanabi vindication here. Yet another day. Several influencers doggedly defended Chorus throughout the controversy, including Elizabeth Booker Houston, a Democratic comedian and content creator on Instagram, and Ali O'Brien, a progressive creator with more than 600,000 followers on TikTok, were involved in membership talks for the highest paid tier in Chorus's new incubator creator program. Houston did not respond to requests for comment. O'Brien also declined to comment. Still, some creators heard about the 1630 fund and Chorus's funding initiative and applied to join. One creator named Chesko, who goes by the Speech Professor online, applied to join the program because he viewed it as an opportunity to get access to the people that have funding or backing and actual research that I could use, he says. Ultimately, he wasn't accepted and received an email on June 26th rejecting his application. That sucks. You tried to become a mouthpiece and they were like, nah, dog, you're good. That's crazy. And now you're just like, now you're seen as a guy who wanted to do this. Hassan on me. Thank you for the 20 gifted subs. The structure of the program highlights the vast differences between how Democrats and Republicans attempt to amass online influence. Once again, oh, MP is Madeline Pendleton. Okay, that makes sense. Once again, there's a reason why all of my controversies amount to socialism but rich and things that you would never actually even think twice about for any other content creator. Okay? That's it. Socialism but rich, or has an opinion that is not the established norms that I grew up in, and that makes me uncomfortable, okay? Whether it be anti-imperialism, anti-capitalism, and the like. That's it. It's never shit like this. Have you noticed? It's never shit like this, so they have to try and make other shit up? Perhaps there's a reason for that. The structure of the program highlights the vast differences between how Democrats and Republicans attempt to amass online influence. Republicans have spent decades building up a powerful independent media ecosystem, though the right-wing influencer world is far from transparent. In September 2024, a federal indictment alleged that Russian state-sponsored network RT, Russia Today, was covertly providing millions in funding to Tenet Media, a company working with major right-wing influencers, including Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, Dave Rubin, and Lauren Southern. In 2024, the National Republican Congressional Committee spent nearly $500,000 on work with CreatorGrid, an influencer marketing company whose website says it connects Republican candidates with the internet's most powerful conservative influencers, according to the analysis of campaign finance filings from the Washington Post. Now, make no mistake, the Republicans already have an ecosystem that is even worse than this. It's called PragerU. It's called Turning Point University, TPU. It's called massively funded networks of propaganda. So they already have a direct hands-on approach on the Republican side. This is the Democrats both coming late to the game and also doing it in the shittiest way possible. Not Turning Point University, sorry. Turning Point USA. Toilet paper USA. Toilet paper. Okay? It's just that there's a reason why we look to these content creators and call them grifters outright, because they are. And now it seems liberals are also getting in on the grift. Okay? At least before, the Democrats were so unable to make adequate investments into the digital landscape that most of the people, I thought, that had this like pro-Democrat Party alignment were just kind of stupid or misguided or naive, right? Like they just genuinely were like, no, harm reduction is real, because it is real, right? So they were just like kind of naive. It turns out, nope, they were getting funded too. So my apologies to a lot of the people who I've shitted on by saying, you're doing this for free. It turns out you weren't doing it for free. You were doing it for like $250 a month or maybe $8,000 a month. But it turns out some guy looked over my shoulder just now and yelled at me for watching you because you interviewed the Hezbollah guy, lol. I did not interview a Hezbollah guy. I would. I have not had the opportunity to do so. I did interview an academic who is a historian of Hezbollah. But yeah, that experience that chatter just explained is a byproduct of this shit, is a byproduct of the endless smears. They must be confusing Rashid al-Haddad. Yeah, and he's not even a Houthi. He is just a Yemen teenager, but it doesn't matter. But do you understand? Do you get it? Because this kind of like smear, this kind of propaganda, it just like cycles around, it circulates, and it does have an impact on a lot of onlookers A lot of people who would consider themselves to be apolitical, people who even would consider themselves to be pro-Palestine, really, who still find themselves swept away by this kind of propaganda because they're just like not super tapped in. Okay. Stephen Buckley, a digital media sociologist at City St. George's University of London, says that these sorts of programs have been happening for the right wing for ages. Yeah, it's true. But Hyder said that the structure of the 1630 fund deal raises the question, is it ethical to match the tactics of your opponents? I don't think it's necessarily unethical, but this goes back to the same problem. I always advocate to fight fire with fire. I tell the Democrats to behave like Republicans, but just not on the policy side, just not on the ideological side. I want the politics of the Republicans, but with the policies that actually do uplift the working class. And this is the problem. It goes back to the Gavin Newsom equation, right? Gavin Newsom wants to bring 5 new Democrat seats to the House of Representatives through a process of redistricting. I think that's a good thing. Okay. However, I still worry that those 6 seats will now have 6 new pro-Raytheon, pro-Israel Democrats. And that is what's frustrating, because that's not going to solve anything. That's just going to put more Democrat asses in seats, sure. But those seats need to be filled by people who actually do have convictions, who do want to help the working class. Otherwise, you're just going to go back to that same cycle of eking out a marginal victory over the Republicans every 4 years and then losing in the long run to a even worse fascist that you are actively capitulating to. We can't have that. This is the fundamental difference. This is what needs to change. The Democrats appear to have no counter to the system. Democrats miss the next generation of media, says Brendan Gahan, co-founder of influencer marketing agency. I know him. Creator Authority. Historically, they own Hollywood, but this next generation of influence is digital, and they've miscalculated that. I don't think they feel comfortable in arenas where they lack control. I guess that's it. That's the entire article from Taylor Lorenz. Fantastic article. Obviously, Current Affairs had a complimentary piece on this as well. This helps explains why some of the most popular progressive content creators refuse to ever cover Gaza. This is from Current Affairs, a separate piece that came out that we read a while back. The decision to avoid Palestine by Democratic-aligned media seems to be deliberate, and it goes beyond Midas Touch. Midas Touch is part of a broader universe of content creators that are aligned with the Democratic Party, including Brian Tyler Cohen, David Pakman, among others. Notably, last March, according to a source of the events, Pakman attended a private off-the-record meeting with Kamala Harris on the day of the Joe Biden State of the Union address. During the trip, he met with Cohen, the Meisels brothers, and dozens of other so-called independent progressive media figures. In an internal email, Pakman later told his staff that the content creators of the White House had talked among themselves, and everyone had admitted that they deliberately avoided producing Gaza coverage in order to prevent controversy. One could argue that this is probably a big reason why these particular influencers were invited to the White House in the first place. Pakman, for his part, has previously asserted that Israel would never waste ordnance on Palestinian civilians, that he views Congressman Richie Torres, who is perhaps best known for being one of AIPAC's top recipients of funding, AIPAC's biggest attack dog, which we will be watching on the Adam Friedland show later, Richie Torres, as the kind of person who he would like to see lead the progressive movement. Current Affairs also reported on the campaign Harris campaign coordinators, i.e. indirect payments to influencers through the agency, special appearance from Cohen in there too. The New York Times has reported that the Harris campaign spent $2.5 million on 3 digital agencies that work with online influencers, and it appears that the influencer in this video may have been one of them. They were just melting money. It's literally all connected. 1630 funds, Future Forwards, which funded Progressive Victory. It's a lib circle jerk. They literally came to a consensus on the face. They avoid talking about one of the worst man-made disasters of our time. Yeah. Their idea of controversy was acknowledging the 30-plus polls showing she needed to stop the genocide to win, by the way. Here are 34 polls that show a ceasefire and weapons embargo to help Kamala Harris win. This was on the 21st of September, 2024. It was a compilation of 34 different polls that showed that this issue would be a mover and a shaker. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. I talked about this quite a bit, because not every single person was as invested in Gaza as others were, right? They could recognize right from wrong. That kind of animosity towards Israel didn't expand overnight, of course. That led to like the Zoran victory, for example. That didn't happen overnight. That was already there in the lead up to the election, even though it was being actively sheltered. It was actively being pushed aside by top-level Democrats in the establishment for obvious reasons, because they wanted to continue the maximum genocide that the Joe Biden administration was doing. Now, Having said that, the reason why I say this is the tip of the iceberg is because this was emblematic of the problem of the Democratic Party's inability to address real issues that their fucking voters were experiencing. This was just one of those issues. It was a very big one, as Ta-Nehisi Coates correctly pointed out. How can you expect the Democrats to save democracy when they won't even stop a genocide? How can you expect a party that will turn a blind eye to a genocide that they are contributing to actually not turn a blind eye to the democracy, the democratic process falling apart? And he was right. This is why it is mind-boggling to me that there are still people who are actively either deluded by these other content creators that are getting paid by the Democratic Party to actively advocate for the Democratic Party's inevitable demise, or the death of American democracy as it stands, the theoretical democracy that we are supposed to ostensibly defend here. And one of those examples, I'm going to use two examples here, okay, which is this one. This guy, Sneer Review, we are so cooked it's not even funny, I said, who then quote retweeted me to say, bomb, Kamala Harris. To which I responded with, 22 months into the Gaza Holocaust and pro-Israel libs still try to act as though the Dems didn't throw the election by pivoting right, refusing to listen to the anger people had about numerous issues, including the genocide, and losing yet again to an incompetent fascist. They are deluding themselves. They are deluding themselves. They're actively and deliberately deluding themselves. They don't want to listen to the truth. They don't want to listen to reason. They don't want to make a proper analysis as to why they lost a otherwise winnable election. Is tough, but it was winnable. Every election is. It blows my mind that people still try to do this shit, especially when third-party voters, if every single third-party voter turned around and voted for Kamala Harris still would have lost the election. So there isn't even like votes that you could have secured from the margins there. So constantly yelling about the left being a spoiler in this election is idiotic. It's just not true. There is no amount of left commentary from myself and every other leftist commentator on the planet, right or wrong, by the way. Doesn't matter if our criticisms are right or wrong, but there's no amount of criticism that we could present that could outflank the multi-billion-dollar messaging campaign that Kamala Harris blew up with shitty message. And it's so indicative of their lack of interest in actually solving some of the problems that currently persist, whether it be Trump's active bouldering towards fascism, for example, then actively fighting against a guy who is trying to do his very best to combat the administration. If you're a liberal, you should actually run around and say, I'm so sorry. I was wrong. You were right. Now I'm going to stand side by side with you because you already correctly called this shit out. And even if you don't have to do that, because you don't, okay? You don't have to do that, obviously. Even if you don't do that and you don't have to do that, the least you could do is shut the fuck up and not try to consistently say this wrong thing that makes you feel good as though you did your very best and now you're tired. Now you can sign off. As people are getting black-bagged and kidnapped, you can just sit on the sidelines and yell about the left. If only the left voted for Kamala, this would not be happening. It's so stupid. It's also simple. The problem is simple. Democrats run away from their base. They despise their base. Republicans run towards their base. They fear their base. That's it. That's it. Democrats actively try to convince their base that the things that they are demanding are actually bad and they should suck it the fuck up and vote for them anyway. Republicans don't do that. Republicans will find active issues that have grassroots backing, no matter how insane it is, like QAnon, and will find a way to make that a part of their platform. Okay? They do that. The greatest version of someone behaving like this is Zohran Mamdani. He went out there, he asked people what their problems were, and he said, I'm going to solve them. There it is. You don't have to be a card-carrying communist to be able to do this, okay? You just have to listen to people. You just have to listen to their demands. You just have to listen to what they want, okay? Hasan Reaction is one of the best ones in the React channel.